everyone, in this video I'll be giving you a walkthrough on how to set up and configure our Pro-Cast WordPress theme. If you don't know, Pro-Cast is the latest theme that we just finished developing recently, and it's currently available at microthemes.ca, and it will be coming soon for ThemeForest and Mojo Marketplace as well. So in this video I'm going to give you an overview of how to install the Pro-Cast theme. I'm also going to show you how to import all of the demo content, and then just finish up with a few final configurations that we need to do for the theme in order to get everything looking like our demo site. Okay, so I'm just going to get started here. So as you can see here, I'm already logged in to WordPress. This is just a clean install of WordPress that I currently have set up. I would highly recommend always installing a new theme on a fresh install of WordPress. Just to make sure that everything's correct. You don't have to, but I would recommend it. So you'll see here on the front end that there's currently nothing installed. This is just one of the default WordPress themes that's currently set up. Okay, so I'm just going to go back to the dashboard, and the first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to import the Pro-Cast theme. So I'm going to go to Appearance Themes. I'm going to select the Add New button. I'm going to select the Upload Theme button, and then I'm going to select Browse. And I'm just going to jump to my desktop here. So Pro-Cast Theme Package. I've already gone ahead and unzipped it. And within that zip file you'll find the pro-cast-theme.zip. This is the actual WordPress theme itself. So that's the one you want to select. Then you want to select Open and press Install Now. Okay, so we're just going to give this a little, maybe like 10-20 seconds for this to upload and install. Okay, so the theme has now been installed, and now we're going to select Activate. Okay, so now we have Pro-Cast theme version 1.0 installed. So I'm just going to jump to the front end now. I'm going to hit refresh. And this is pretty much what you're going to see once you install the theme for the first time. You're pretty much just going to get a bare bones layout. Obviously there's no content on the site right now. There's just the default WordPress post, Hello World. There's no trending posts, nothing else here. Okay, so the next thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to import the demo content. So I'm going to jump back to the WordPress dashboard. And actually, sorry, the first thing we're going to need to do is we're going to need to install all of the plugins that are bundled with the theme. So after you finish activating the theme, you're going to see a notice up here. I'm just going to highlight it here so you can see it. And it basically just says this theme requires the following plugins, and then it'll just list each of the plugins here that the theme requires. I'm just going to make a note here that not all of the plugins are required, so I'll just point out now which ones should be installed and activated. Okay, so I'm just going to click on Begin Installing Plugins. Okay, so the ones we're going to want to install are Easy Google Fonts, One-Click Demo Importer. This is important because we're going to need this to import the demo content. ProCast Members Area, ProCast Reviews Post Type, ProCast Shortcodes, ProCast Videos Post Type. Visual Composer is optional. The theme itself doesn't come with any Visual Composer pages, so at this point we don't really need to install it. WooCommerce is also optional. If you're not planning on selling anything on your site, then you don't really need to install WooCommerce. For the sake of this demo, I'm just going to go ahead and activate it. So the reason I'm activating it is because when I import the demo content, I'll also get all of the WooCommerce demo content imported as well. WordPress social login, this one's also optional. If you don't want to use social login functionality on your site, you don't need to use this one, so you can ignore it. For the sake of this demo, I'm just going to ignore it. I'm just going to leave it for now. And bbPress is also optional. If you don't want any forms on your site, then you don't really need bbPress. But for the sake of this demo, I'm just going to go ahead and install it so I can get all of the bbPress demo content imported. There isn't a whole lot of bbPress content to begin with, so I'm I'm just going to install it anyways. And okay, so I have all those selected now. So under bulk actions, I'm just going to select install and press apply. Okay, so all of the plugins have now been installed, or at least all the ones that we selected. So I'm going to select return to required plugins installer. Okay, so you'll see here now that all the ones that have been installed, you'll see that there's an activate underneath the plugin name. So I'm just going to check off all the ones that say activate. And under bulk actions, I'm going to select activate and apply. And this will activate all of these plugins all in one go. Okay, so those plugins have now all been installed and activated. So if I go under plugins, plugins, installed plugins. Okay, this WooCommerce setup wizard, I'm just going to select not right now. And the reason I'm doing that is because once we import the demo content, we'll actually have all of the WooCommerce pages already imported from the demo content. So you can actually skip the setup altogether. Skip setup. Okay, so now I'm just going to quickly go back to plugins, installed plugins, just to make sure that they're all installed and activated. Okay, so you can see here we have them all installed. If any plugins are outdated, just go ahead and just update them. So right now I'm just going to update WooCommerce to the latest version. Okay, so all of our plugins have now been installed and activated, all the ones that should be installed and activated as a requirement. Okay, so now at this point we're going to want to import the demo content. So to do that, we're going to go to, I believe, yeah, under Appearance, Import Demo Data. Okay, so you're going to see the Import Demo Data button here, right? And then here it just says this importer will import all of the demo content from the ProCast demo site. So we're just going to go ahead and select Import Demo Data. Now there is a lot of data that needs to be imported, so this might take a little while. Maybe upwards of 30 seconds. So I advise you to just let it go, and eventually it will finish. So just let it go for as long as it needs to go. Okay, so that finally finished. That's it, all done. The demo import has been finished. Okay. All right, so at this point here, what we're going to do is we're just going to jump to the front end. I'm going to hit refresh, and we should see some of the content already starting to get populated now into the theme. Okay, great. So we have our logo appearing, so that means our customizer options were imported. That's good. We have the banner ad appearing, so that means our widgets have been imported, so that's good. Okay, we have some news posts here. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. And we have our footer widgets appearing. We have all of our footer content. And if you see this very long menu in the footer area, just ignore it because we're going to configure that in a moment. Okay, so far everything's looking good. So now, okay, so as of right now, let me just quickly recap. We have the theme installed. We have all of the required plugins installed and activated. And we just finished importing all of the demo content. So now we're just going to do the final theme configurations. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump over to the customizer area. So we're going to go to Appearance, Customize. Okay, so the customizer area has finished loading. So what we want to do now is we want to assign our menus. So I'm going to go into the Menus tab. Okay, we're going to go to Menu Locations, and we're going to assign our menus here. Okay, so you'll see in here now that we have some of the buttons appearing. Some of these, the ones that say custom, we're actually going to be removing those shortly, because those are actually mega menu buttons, and unfortunately we're not allowed to bundle mega menu with our theme. So these buttons here are useless unless you have mega menu installed and activated and you have an active license for it. Then these menus should appear correctly, but if not, we're going to have to manually remove these and replace them with category buttons. So we're going to do that shortly, but for now I just wanted to show you that the menus are assigned to the correct places now. Okay, so that's good. And now I just want to assign my homepage template. So I'm going to go to static front page, and I'm going to select the static page. And you can select from any one of the 3 homepage templates that you want. The default or the template number 1 is actually under homepage. But if you want to do template 2 or 3, you can select ProCast template 2 or ProCast template 3. So I'm just going to go ahead here and select ProCast template 2, just to show you one of the other homepage demos that we have for the theme. Okay, so here's our homepage template. Okay, one further thing I should mention here is that each of the homepage templates load in certain categories in some of the columns, and these categories can actually be assigned under, I believe it's under global template options, list options, and here we can actually select our news category columns. So I'm just going to select some here: culture, entertainment, fashion, gaming, and gear. So once the page reloads, we should see news posts being loaded in this area. Now I should mention at this point that these templates do load quite a bit of data, so it might take a little while to refresh within the customizer area. So you'll see here now that our categories are appearing. There's 2 more rows here that aren't appearing right now, and these 2 rows can actually be configured under homepage template options 2. Sorry, homepage template 2 options, list options. So we could do our review categories and our featured category columns. So for the reviews column categories, I'm just going to select mobile, I'm going to select gaming, and I'm going to select, I guess, computers, and featured category column. I'm going to set this one to sports, and I'm going to set this one to science. So yeah, like I was mentioning just a few seconds ago, I mean, the theme customizer area can run a bit slow at times, especially if you're loading a lot of content on you know, on the page that you're currently editing. You know, so I'm really hoping that you know, maybe in a future version of WordPress that they add some kind of caching system to the customizer. so it doesn't have to reload the entire page, but for the time being, this is currently how the customizer area works. Unfortunately, when it does a page refresh, it has to reload everything, which, if you ask me, is kind of insane. But I mean, you know, if you're working on a big site, you know, you are going to get some slowdowns in the customizer area. Okay, so now we have all of the content loading correctly. We have our category columns populated, so these are good, and we have our reviews categories populated as well. Okay, so that's looking good. Okay, all right, so at this point we're looking pretty good. All right, we got the home page set up. Now I'm just going to hit save and publish. Okay, and I'm going to close down the customizer area. And I'm just going to jump back to the front end. I'm going to hit refresh. Okay, so now we have our front end appearing correctly. We have our homepage template 2 assigned to it. All of the data is currently being loaded, so that's good. And what we need to do now is we need to fix up this menu very quickly. So let's go to appearance, let's go to menus. When I'm editing menus, I like to do it under this area instead of the theme customizer area, because I just like all of the extra screen real estate that I get here to work with. So okay, so I'm going to select main navigation. Okay, so what we want to do here, since we don't have Mega Menu installed, we're going to want to delete these custom links. Okay, so any that say custom within the brackets, we can delete these. So I'm going to leave those for now. And let me just, what do we have on the front end appearing? Features, gear, reviews. Okay, so those are all the features which currently appear in the drop-down menu. So right now what you're seeing is the default drop-down menu that comes preloaded with or built into the ProCast theme. So there is drop-down menu support. Okay, so those buttons have been removed, those custom buttons. And what we're going to want to do now is finish assigning our category buttons. So we already have a couple here that are appearing. We have gear and we have reviews. So gear and reviews are in there. So now we're going to add science, sports, gaming, entertainment, fashion. I think I just squeezed them all in there. So gear and reviews are already in there. Culture, gear. Okay, add to menu. Okay, let's see if these all fit. Save menu. Okay, so now I'm going to jump back to the front end. I'm going to hit refresh. Okay, so they don't all fit. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to remove one of them. Actually, we could remove the features. Actually, for the sake of this video, I'm going to leave the features in there. I'm just going to remove gaming for now. Where is gaming? Right there. Remove. Save menu. Okay, let's refresh the page. Okay, so now we have our menu buttons in place. You're going to notice these ones are missing the descriptions, so you can actually add those very easily through the menu here. So if I select culture, okay, so by default you're not going to see the description field by default. You're going to have to actually activate it. So scroll all the way up to the screen options button here, and let's check on description. Okay, so now we go back to culture, and you know, Yeah, I'm just going to quickly add something here. Culture, around the world, entertainment. Can't remember what I had on the demo site, but for here, I'm just going to, I don't know, I'm just going to type in having fun for now. Fashion. I don't know. This is a description or something. Let's put living in style, just to show you that. I mean, you want to keep these descriptions fairly short. I guess I can call this one latest tech for gear. Science, I believe this one was make a discovery. And sports was follow your heroes, which we had on the demo site. And I'm going to select save menu. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to the front end. I'm going to hit refresh. Okay, so you'll see now that our descriptions are showing. However, some of the descriptions are actually pushing one of the buttons onto a second line, which we don't want. So we're going to have to remove another button, unfortunately. So you have to keep in mind that when you're working with any HTML or any WordPress theme, you have to kind of work within the parameters of the overall design. So at the desktop level here, which I'm currently viewing at 1920. The menu area can only hold so many buttons, right? So yeah, so for this one here, I'm just gonna have to remove another button. Remove, save menu. I mean, if you have a lot of buttons that you have to add onto your site, I would recommend using the drop-down menu, right? So let's hit refresh. Okay, so now our menu is all properly set up. So each of these buttons will link to a category. So if I select culture, okay, so now we're on the culture category page. Okay, looking good. Now, one thing I should mention is you might want to change your permalinks. So under settings, permalinks, I would recommend setting it to post name. This is the most SEO friendly naming convention that you could use for your URLs. So I highly recommend post name. So I'm going to select save changes. Okay, and that's about it. The ProCast theme has now all been set up and configured. So it's not it's not that hard setting it up. So you'll see here that everything is working. All right. Okay, looks good. All right, and that's it. And that's pretty much how you set up and configure the ProCast WordPress theme. If you have any questions, feel free to log into your MicroThemes account and post your questions on our support forums. Or if you need any help, or if you have any questions, you can even post them down below, in the comments area. If you're viewing this on YouTube. But again, if you're viewing this on MicroThemes, just log into your account, go to the support forums, and post your questions or your issues that you're having, and we'll be more than happy to help you out. And that's it. So thanks for watching the video, and we hope you enjoy the ProCast theme. Thanks for watching.